Hey everyone, this is Amir with Motorcar File, and today we are so excited to bring you the Bentley Mulsanne. The Bentley Mulsanne is the premier sedan for Bentley and has an MSRP of $298,000 as a base price. It's a beautiful car, has distinctive lines. I personally love this car. All of us over here at Motorcar File love this car. It was an incredible ride, and we're going to bring you through some of the in-depth details. We'll go through the car, listen to the motor, look at some of the interior features, go through some of the interior features, the processes, and we'll take a really in-depth look at the interior and overall drive of the car. So the Mulsanne carries over a lot of features from old, and you'll see that in here in this the headlight, the projector system. So you have this large circular light inside and a smaller light outside. And that carries over from the old cars. So if you can imagine the older cars, they had these large lights just like you see here on the inside, and they had the projector sitting on the fenders outside. So the lineage sort of carries over, and they've done a more futuristic rendition of that now with the Mulsanne. The Mulsanne carries over other features like that fender line you see there that sort of raises up and follows the body line back over the projector lamps. That is also carried over from old. The projector lamps here, you see they have the daylight running LEDs and the little dots around the center projector, and bi-xenon headlamps. This car is equipped with a two-piece 21-inch wheel setup and ventilated discs front and rear and aluminum hubs front and rear. Those screws on that two-piece wheel are actually titanium screws, which is a pretty nice feature, and a car of this caliber should have that kind of feature. And those are the things we appreciate here at Motorcar File. The taillights you can see there, they have that elliptical look that carries over from the Continental, the Coupe, and the four-door. And everything you see here that's chrome is actually hand-polished steel. So we'll look into the engine bay here and listen to the sound of the motor. The V8 twin-turbo, 500 some odd horsepower, 752 foot-pound of torque. So let's listen. A lot of torque. You can see the whole car moving. Beautiful sound, smooth, very luxurious. Also, again, elliptical tail lights, elliptical muffler end. Very crisp sound. So other features, you'll see that vast, long body line that sort of sweeps back with the car, and the roof line that tapers back in that cutoff at the end of the car. And that cutoff they did specifically to sort of give the Mulsanne a blocked look. I mean, it's 18 feet long. It's a very long car, very wide car. I mean, it's only a few inches shorter than some SUVs, large family SUVs. It's a very stately car, and so these body lines sort of accentuate that, and we really enjoyed a lot of those features about this car. The designers took their time, and they really knocked it out of the park with this one. We would like to send a big shout out to the guys over at Global Motor Cars of Houston. We're very appreciative of the relationship we have with them, and they've opened up their inventory for us to bring these reviews to you guys. They have a wide range of inventory always in stock: classic cars, new cars, certified cars, and exotic cars. Dean Bastos and all the guys over there are very customer oriented and can help you if you find any car in our reviews interesting or want to know more about purchasing any of them. For more information, please contact Dean Bastos and the guys over at Global Motor Cars of Houston. So the interior of the Mulsanne is beautiful. Everything is handcrafted. Everything is covered in premium leather. And all of the wood grain features and wood grain paneling, where in this car it's finished in a piano black lacquer. So here in the Mulsanne, there's details on the foot sill. Beautifully polished. Everything that looks metal in this car is metal. So that's a beautiful detail. When you're talking about a car with a $300,000 price tag, these sort of features make all the difference in the world. And they took their time to implement these throughout the vehicle. So the seats here, the seat control here, You can see this sort of pattern expressed throughout the interior of the Mulsanne. This sort of knurled knob, metal finish, black background, white inverse signaling. This is displayed throughout the vehicle. Little key fob here. It is a keyless go system, so you don't have to have your key in the ignition, or you don't have to physically push the lock unlock button. The car was unlocked when we came up to it, but if it was locked, we could just come up and hold the door panel, hold the door handle, and behind the handle there is a touch sensitive pad that'll know you have your key on you and open the door. Similarly, there's a touch screen button on the outside of the door handle, and we'll go through that here when we step out of the car. So once you have the key on you, you can simply place it or keep it in your pocket, hold the brake, and push the start button. So you can see throughout the car there is leather covered details, black lacquer, wood paneling throughout, and they have this Bentley Flying Wing logo displayed throughout the car, throughout the interior, and beautifully inlaid here into the wood along the door handle here, and inlaid into what they call the interior door panel, because they have this sort of two-stepped door paneling system. The interior door panel covered in leather with black lacquer wood here inset behind the handle. So all of this leather detail here covered in leather. They have this contrast stitching here, what's called contrast stitching, I believe is an option, and it's beautiful detail here in this black interior, because this white offsets it very well. Very, very quality look to it, quality feel to it. Here in the door panel you have your window control system, so you can lock the rear window or unlock the rear window control for them to use, and you have your down up for the window control, and obviously you have your automatic down and full automatic up controls. So same thing with the passenger side. You have that burled sort of feel, so you get a good grip, good tactile feel to all the switches here. For the mirrors, these are your side mirror controls, and you have this sort of very intuitive, this is very unique that I've seen. I'm not sure if another car has it, but Bentley did a very good job of signifying lock unlock. Traditionally, you might be used to seeing a padlock that looks open and a padlock that looks closed, per se, for unlock and unlock, for lock and unlock. However, in this car you have a key saying to lock the car, and you have a door open signal saying to unlock the car, which I thought was pretty intuitive. So you can see here in the cockpit, very beautiful cockpit, very driver central. I mean, I have everything I can need or see right here, right in front of me. Two big chrome rimmed gauges here, which dates back to Bentley, you know, way back when they took to their heritage with these two big B gauges here. And the other thing they did to tip to their heritage is that the needles start always at the 1 o'clock. So that's how they used to do it way back in the day, when in the 1930s and 40s, these Bentleys, the gauges would start at 1 o'clock, because the idea was when you start to actually use the car, say look here in the idle range or in the standard driving RPM, say around here 1500 or 1200, the needle stays in the center. Same here, when you're driving at standard speed limit, all your needles will be in the center. So the idea is, under use, your needles are in the center. When they're not, they retract back to the 1 o'clock marker, which was a pretty cool idea to bring that back after all that time. So this whole black lacquer finish, where in this car is black lacquer, another car would be a wood grain, it goes from one side and sweeps all the way to the other in a one continuous sort of piece. And when the screen is put away, you do see this sort of nice seamless approach, although you obviously do have the spaces for where the screen rotates away. It's just one nice big continuous glossy piece. It sits well with the interior and really gives it a nice touch, really gives it an expensive and luxurious feel. So starting over here, we have the headlight operation here, which is standard. You have off, auto, your signals and your headlights. You have your rear fog lights and your interior dimming control. So the steering wheel itself has a very nice feel, very quality leather wrapped steering wheel. It's not too big, not too small, fits in the hand very well. And you have controls for your voice commands, anything you need to do with the voice, or dial, put some radio on, set any settings via the voice command, that would be here. You have your volume control, the steering wheel mounted volume control, again burled metal finish, beautiful. Everything that looks metal in this car is metal, and it's a fantastic feature, a fantastic detail. This button here will change the transmission into manual. It's usually an automatic, 8-speed automatic, but you can switch it into a manual mode, and by selecting this switch you can physically use these shift buttons for shift down and shift up. On the left hand side you have your menu controls for your driver central information system, or your information screen in the center there, in between the two big dials for your speed and RPM. So this controls everything in there. You can select between your main, so your main categories are up there, and this left and right toggle will toggle through those main categories. Once in those main categories, say you wanted to get into this trip mode, which tells you how much gas range you have, then you can use this rotating knob to switch between other informations within that category, so like subcategories of data. So there's no phone connected, so those won't give you any information. But let's see what the navigation gives us. The same sort of subcategories of information. So over here you have your mileage reset button, and on the side here of the steering wheel you have your wiper controls, which again, everything is a beautiful finish. And if you notice on this wiper control, you get one key element that the Mulsanne has throughout. So you see this plastic piece here on the top, and you have a chrome end finish detail and a chrome tail finish detail, both curved and beautiful. But you see this piece right here is covered in glass, and that's one detail that the interior designers of this car implemented. So you get a very quality feel of the glass, you get a very natural illumination when the LEDs are on, and it just gives a very nice finish to the nice finish and feel to all of the buttons. They have this glass covering everywhere. So on the left hand side of the steering wheel you have your turn signals and your bright controls. So if you wanted to put on your brights and you wanted to put on turn signals, it would be via this stalk. And down here you have your cruise control settings. This car is not equipped with the radar controlled cruise distance controlled cruise control. It has standard cruise control, but both controls would be here whether it was equipped with that or not. So let's open up the screen and play around with the infotainment system real quick. So before, when I was showing you the top stack, I pushed the home link system. So the home link system triggered some message here that says, hey, the garage door, because this is a brand new car, almost a brand new car, the garage door buttons have not been programmed. So it's asking me, do you want to program those things? So let's go ahead and use this toggle rotary knob to tell it no, and start to use some of the functions. So you have your main switches here for radio. You push it radio, it will switch to radio. You push telephone, switch to telephone. Media is if you have Bluetooth or you have something like an iPod connected. And tone is for this audio settings, bass, treble, and everything in between, where the sound goes in the car and all that good stuff. You have your presets here at the bottom, so you can set your radio presets down here. And you have a very large back button here, which is great. I mean, usually all infotainment system, in my opinion, should have a very large back button, because people just get lost and they don't know how to go back, and they don't know which way is what they're doing. So that's always a good feature to put a back button for people. So on the other side of the infotainment button settings, you have your navigation to switch right to navigation. And actually, when the navigation map shows up, you really see the Audi influence. Because this MMI is very similar, so it's just like BMW and Rolls-Royce. You see the influence of the Rolls-Royce connected drive to the BMW connected drive to the Rolls-Royce infotainment system and MMI system. This has a similar relation to Audi, and you can really tell in that navigation and the way this thing navigates around the infotainment is just like Audi. So you also have a car button here. That car button will tell you information about the car. So you can see your tire pressure. You can raise or lower the car. So you could say lower and the car will go down. Say if you need to exit the car, you want to be more comfortable exiting, you can lower the car down to a very, very comfortable position for entry and exit. And if you begin to move, you can raise the car back up and the car will hydraulically lift itself. So this is all done in this little car menu, which is very, very, very handy, especially if you're the type of person that likes to have a lot of data, you know, you're looking at while you're driving, a lot of settings that are more up to the driver, which also again lends itself to this being more of a driver's car than solely just being a car for somebody to be driven in. These are the type of information that distinguishes itself from others. And you have 3 analog gauges. So you have your temperature, your water temperature, the time, and your fuel gauge. So one thing that's important to note, looking down this center stack here, you have these features of these upward lines here. You have a line going here that wraps up and goes around, and you have a line that wraps up and goes around this way. So these 2 lines are to mimic or to look like the lines of the Bentley Flying Bee. So you see the details of these lines. The side of this Bentley Flying Bee goes up and sweeps out, and this one goes up and sweeps out. Those lines were mimicked here in this contrast stitching, but the lines of the structure of the center stack, they did that specifically to match the wings of the Flying Bee. So very nice detail there. You have these beautiful circular vents that you can move around in any direction, and they rotate, and they have this very luxurious feel, sort of felt, very smooth, like it's rubbing on felt in there. It's very, very, very smooth, very luxurious feel. And these knobs, very airplane-like knobs for you know, opening and closing these vents. Very nice. So you pull to open, push to close, and they feel very, very luxurious. So wrapping around the car here, looking up to the top stack, you have switches for your home link system. You have switches for your reading lights, of course all LED. Everything nowadays LED. You have your door light on and off, so if you leave it on, your lights will come on when the doors open. And you have your main lights, of course, again LED, that will turn on all the lights in the vehicle. Top stack is all wrapped in leather, all chrome lined, black lacquer finish throughout. Beautiful continuous chrome line finishes on everything. Leather wrapped headrest, leather all the way to the back of the headrest. Everything is finished in leather. Everything's stitched and covered in leather. Even these mirror covers are covered in leather. Everything is beautifully wrapped and finished in very soft, supple leather. And one thing about the leather, Bentley with the Mulsanne, they went to their old methods of tanning. So what you don't get is that new car scent, as everybody calls it. You get the natural scent of the leather. It's a more very organic scent of the leather in this car. Very, very luxurious detail for them to implement that old style of tanning their leather. Looking down the center stack here, there's a black lacquer cover here. This cover pulls back to reveal the cup holders. Again, everything is chrome lined. Even the cup holders below this black lacquer cover is finished in this black lacquer, which if this car had wood, both of these would be wood. You have control here for your rear shade. and your controls for your ignition, start, stop. Your parking distance control, which if you're parking, and the ultrasonic sensors will tell you if you're close to something and buzz on the screen. You can turn that off and on. Your traction control and your hazard lights. To the left hand of the shifting stalk, you have your parking brake and your automatic hold, which will hold your brake during traffic, and you could just push the brake. Once it activates and let go of the brake, it'll stay there, and the car will automatically hold its position until you push the throttle to go, and it will release the brakes for you automatically. The Mulsanne has this dynamic switch here, toggle switch, that you can switch driving modes between custom, sport, Bentley, which supposed to be like the Bentley engineers set this setting so that they what they believe is the optimal way this car should drive for overall driving. You can set it there to drive, or comfort, where everything is smooth, the suspension isn't stiff at all, and it's just a very comfortable way to drive around town if you're just going around from one place to the other. So up the center stack, we have all the controls here for the infotainment system. And the infotainment system also has the stack for the temperature control and climate control, dual zone up here, dual zone in the back, so 4 zones for the climate control here. One innovative feature here in the center stack, they have a unique iPod holder. So you would connect your iPod and then set your iPod here in this tray and close, and it could be hidden and nobody would see it. Very, very nice feature. Very forward thinking. So here in the temperature, you have the direction of the airflow, of course, through the top towards the windshield, more towards your chest and face, and to your feet. Fan up and down, and you can push this in to get the automatic temperature control. You have the heated seats. So if you go to the plus side, you'll get the heat. You go into the negative side, you'll get a fan, a cooling fan. So here you have your defrost front and rear, your recirculation, your air conditioning compressor, and the on-off, global on-off switch for the whole system, and the passenger has the same controls. So again, here in the passenger seat, you get the same knurled knobs, which is very, very nice, feels very tactile. I love those knobs, those knurled finishes, very, 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 very nice. Very, very nice to the touch. So you get the same luxurious seating here on the side, on the passenger side, and let's see the space inside. Very comfortable in the passenger seat. So let's close the door here. I have the same exact set of controls as the driver does. Memory seats, except I can't open the trunk. Memory seats, window, automatic up and down, and unlock and lock. Same black lacquer and Flying Bee logo here in the above the armrest on the exterior side of this panel. While the Mulsanne was made to be also a driver's car, the back seat is, I would say, definitely an equally pleasing place to be. Very, very comfortable. My legs are stretched open. I have no very, very large gap between myself and the seat in front. And with a little switch, you can also move the front seat of the front seat passenger. So if the passenger wasn't in a good position that's comfortable for you, or if there was nobody in there and you're riding in the back, you from back here can move this seat up and out of your way. So you have the same finishes back here, and you have this little compartment here that's for the radio, so that you can control the navigation, radio, and you have a knob and all sorts of things here to control from the back seat. This doesn't have a battery, but this is a control for the rear passengers, and you have a 12 volt power source here for you as well. So this car doesn't have a rear entertainment system, but it does have these wood finished working tables, or you can put food on here, I guess, anything really. Very nice, very, very sturdy. The opening and closing is very mechanical, very solid, and it locks in place, and you get a very nice secure finish when you lock it and you close it. And one thing that you can see back here that was implemented by the Bentley interior designers for the Mulsanne is that black lacquer finish, which in the cars that have wood grain would be wood paneling, very thick wood paneling, that follows all the way through the B pillar, through the side, into the back, and wraps around all the way through behind the back seat headrests, then comes back around and loops around again. So it's one continuous loop of wood. Beautiful, beautiful detail. So you have some controls here to make the zone back here comfortable. You have your massage seating. You have your lumbar support. You know, if you need more lumbar. You have the back. You can move the back forward and back, your backrest. You can move the seat, the bottom of the seat position forward and back, up and down. This is the control for the front seat to move it out of your way. And you have the exact same dual zone climate control system as the passengers in the front. So a very, very comfortable place back here. You have storage. When this panel is slid up to cover the seat controls, it reveals storage back here and another 12-volt power source, which is very, very, very nice. One thing that I thought was a good feature, up next to the headrest of the back passengers is this pillow-like leather covered detail here, and that's if you're getting tired, you want to rest your head, you have something soft. Very rarely do you see something like that, a detail like that. So again, everything up here, you have hanging details for your hanger, coat hangers. Everything is covered in leather, everything is metal, everything is polished, and everything has a very solid feel to it. Nothing feels flimsy. Everything fits perfectly everywhere. I mean, it's everything. The fit and finish in this car is amazing. And again, for every vent you have these open close levers that feel like airplane levers. Very, very, very comfortable, very nice. So we'll step out from back here and we will take a look into the hood, take a look into the trunk, and wrap up the interior detail. So let's look into the hood of the Mulsanne and take a look at what's under there. So one thing Bentley always does, they give you the hand-built in Crew England with the name of the mechanic and your engine number right there. It is a 6 3/4 liter twin turbo V8. It has 505 horsepower, 752 pound-feet of torque at a mind-blowing 1,750 RPM. You have full torque at 1,750 RPM, and that is unreal. So you have the twin flying logo badges, one here and one back there. And Bentley says this will get 11 miles to the gallon in the city, 18 miles to the gallon on the highway. And it'll go 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds, which is amazing. So let's go take a look at the trunk. So we'll take a look into the trunk here, and it's automatic opening. And we'll unlock the doors so that while we're going back here we can also take a look at the gas tank. Beautiful finish on the gas cover, very metal, very heavy feel, very solid feel, and B logo insignia inlaid in the center. massive trunk, beautiful trunk, covered in very thick carpet. I mean, it smells fantastic in here, very natural. Everything feels just amazing back here. Everything is finished in polished metal, and you have a 12-volt power source back here should you need. You have storage latches on the sides there, so you can strap in the storage you have. And let's see if we have a spare tire detail and tow hook. Amazing. Beautiful finishes, beautiful details all over this car. So let's close the trunk and take her for a spin. Alrighty folks, so here we are behind the wheel of the 2011 Bentley Mulsanne, and it is an incredible drive. Very smooth, very comfortable, very authoritative. Throttle modulation is easy, brake pedal feel is good. I mean, when you need to slam on the brakes, the car stops in a hurry, doesn't feel uncomfortable at all. And it's really waftable. I mean, it just kind of floats as you're riding along through the, through the road here. This is a pretty bumpy road, and it feels wonderful. It feels smooth, feels effortless, and for being through time in Rolls-Royce, BMW was developing the V8 for the Arnage, and the V8 that's in this car is all Bentley, and it's been redesigned. The architecture is similar to what they've had for quite a while, but it's all new in many regards, and it's all Bentley, which is pretty important for Bentley, that this motor and the design of this car and everything about this car was, this time around, so to speak, all Bentley. There's no German influence in this car, other than some Audi into the infotainment system and other things. It's really a true British saloon. And you have 505 horsepower at a pretty high RPM, but the torque you have available at just 1,700 RPM is just massive. It's outrageous to have 752 foot-pounds of torque. It's so low in the RPM band. You have full power right away. So something you notice, or I noticed, that when I'm driving here and I'm going the speed limit here at 42 miles an hour, and I'm going leaning into these turns, and the car feels so stable, feels so smooth around these turns. I don't get a lot of body roll. Everything, it tracks well and feels really, really, really nice. So we're gonna go into this dial here that changes the driving dynamics of the vehicle, and let's go into the Bentley mode here to see if we get any change. Beautiful navigation screen. I love that there's this navigation screen, and these, I've said it before, but I'll say it again here that I'm driving. These analog gauges are just perfect. I mean, they're so classy and so nice. So as I was talking about these modulation buttons before, that goes into the MMI and the infotainment system, here are the information screen in the center of these two dials. Let's go ahead and cycle through and see some of the things we get. So we can change the radio station here. We can go to our phone, and our nav says we're on Memorial and has a little direction compass here and tells us the street we're on. So in city driving, this car is really, really just, it's awe-inspiring how smooth it is, and the immense stature of the car, how big it is. 18 feet long, 7 foot some odd inches wide. I mean, it's a big car, and it's classy, and it's in your face, but it's just so easy to drive, which is probably the number one thing I would say that I have to say about this car. It's that it's just so comfortable and so easy, and you feel so good inside. I mean, you feel the luxury, you feel good driving this car. So we're gonna push this manual button here, and that will allow us to take over the transmission shift control via the paddles, and we'll speed up a little bit here when the road opens up and see how she does. So we shifted from 6th to 4th, which in a traditional manual or semi-manual or automated manual paddle shifted car, which this is an automatic, but in those kind of cars you get these wild downshift rev matching programs, and so you get these wild RPM changes. Right now, if you saw me go from 6 to 4 and there was nothing, I didn't feel nothing. The RPM didn't even, I mean, the RPM went up obviously because you're gearing down, but I felt nothing. So let's go ahead and give it some gas. Amazing. So smooth. So smooth. So right now we're going approximately 75 around this corner here, and we're not breaking any laws, and it feels great. It feels very comfortable. Still, even in a higher speed, it feels that smoothness, that softness, that effortlessness, that sort of cloudy waftiness doesn't go away even at high speed. And something about the steering. I mean, I've driven Phantoms and Ghosts and Wraith and all that, and we have reviews of those cars coming up. And those cars have that similar waftiness, but that waftiness in those cars and that effortlessness and that sort of goosey, cloudy feeling in those cars is there throughout all the driving. When you want to drive sporty, when you want to drive normal, when you want to be driven, all of that is sort of cloudy and soft in that car. In this car, when you begin to drive it with sort of aggressively, the steering gets a little bit tight. It really responds well. It gives you the feedback you need to be comfortable driving the car on its limit. So I really appreciate that detail about this, and I would assume that it's electromechanical steering, like all of the new better power steering systems coming out. So that concludes this review. We really enjoyed bringing this review to you guys. We hope you enjoyed the video. For all Motorcar File updates and upcoming reviews, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and all of these links will be provided for you in the description below. You can also catch us at motorcarfile.com.